Gonna be a fun video today. I hope you all enjoy. Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to today's video where we are going to talk about investing. And the reason why I bring this up today is because I was recently sent a video by a few subscribers, of another, video from a YouTube channel. I'm not going to say who it is or anything like that because I'm not that type of person. I don't want to rain on anyone's parade, but it's a younger person and it is an automotive YouTube channel, and this video was about their life story. And, I would have believed the whole story, except for when they started talking about investing, it became immediately clear that this person had literally no idea what they were talking about and had likely never invested $1 in their life, which is okay. But, I saw so many things in the comments, questions about how to get started and all that. So you guys know, if you've been following the channel for a while, this is the industry that I work in. And, I figured I would make a video on the big question, which is how do I get started with investing and how do I go about doing that? So I wanted to make a really in-depth guide for people that, someone can use as a resource, mainly for younger people, but really for anybody who wants to get started with investing. Right off the bat, let's talk about the two big questions that everyone has when it comes to investing, and that is how old do I have to be to start? How much money do I need to start? Now, the first one is very simple. How old do you have to be? If you're 18 or older, it's as easy. Opening up a brokerage account is as easy as opening up a bank account. We'll talk about what a brokerage account is a little bit later. Now, if you're under 18, it's pretty much just as easy. It just requires one extra step, and that is if you're under 18, you will need a custodial account. Now, you can have your parents, someone who can legally represent you, sign on this account. Like a lot of things when you're a minor, you just have to have someone sign for you. And a lot of institutions that I know of offer custodial accounts as well. So again, it's pretty easy. The easy answer is you can be any age. If you are under 18, it does require one extra step. Now, the second thing requires a little bit more of an explanation, and that is how much money do I need to start with? And again, we'll give the easy answer right away, and that is you don't need anything to start. You can start with just a couple $100 to open up the account. But you've heard the term, it takes money to make money in the stock market. And that is relatively accurate. And, in this video, I want to give a realistic expectation for people. And the title of this video is going to be something with like investing for cars and whatnot. And, this is an automotive channel, and the car should be your goal and your motivation to invest. But you should also know that with investing, it's never about the short-term big purchase. It's not like that. Investing is a longer-term strategy to build wealth over time and to secure, a financial future that works for you. So that's what it's all about. Just wanted to mention that as well. But back to the point, it takes money to make money. Let's take two kids. Kid number one, two 15-year-olds. Kid number one has been working, he's saving up for a while. He's got 10 grand, which is a good chunk of change for a 15-year-old. So he invests that money, and he's like a stock market genius, man. This kid, he returned 100% in 1 year. So what that means, you talk about a return with investment, that's how much you make. If you make 100% return, you've doubled your money. So he now has 20 grand. Now let's take kid number two. He's also 15. His parents gave him $100,000 to open up an account with. Very nice parents, obviously. But he's not quite as good at investing as the first guy, right? So he only returned 10%. So if you want to look at it this way, kind of silly, and you shouldn't look at it this way, but let's say that, the first kid, he's 10 times as smart as the second kid, right? But they both made $10,000. Kid number two, with his $100,000, he only returned 10%, but they both made $10,000. So the whole point of that little story was to say that it does in some ways take money to make money in the stock market. Now, can you start with nothing and become very successful over time? Absolutely. That's not what I'm saying. It's not like you have to start out rich. That's definitely not the case. But you're going to hear a lot of people talk about, oh, I became an overnight success with the stock market, or a couple months, or like 6 months, or a year or two, and I started with nothing and now I'm rich. And I'm here to say that it's a process, and you're going to hear all kinds of stuff that we'll talk about in a few seconds. But, despite all the things that you're going to hear, and people, buy my program and a proven method and all this stuff, and you're going to hear all kinds of different methods for investing, I just want to say that you want to have a realistic expectation. And if you're going to start with nothing, it is going to take time, and it is absolutely a process. Just to touch on some of those things that you're going to hear, you're going to hear about options trading in various forms, binary options, which you got to be really careful with because there's a lot of unscrupulous websites that deal in that are mismanaged and might steal your money, and the SEC has issued plenty of warnings on those companies, and Forex and penny stocks, and we'll touch on penny stocks for a second here. Penny stocks, you're going to hear that term as well. That traditionally, a penny stock was anything worth less than $1. over time, it's really become any stock that's worth less than $5. But either way, we're talking about companies here where the value of the stock is virtually nothing, very, very small. And the average price of a stock can be, well, it's a pretty wide range. A stock can be $50 to hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Some stocks trade at $700 or more a share. But a penny stock is very minimal value. The huge risk, anybody who says, oh, I was an overnight success with penny stocks, that's another huge red flag, even though penny stocks itself is not a red flag. Again, it can certainly be a profitable, avenue for you to invest in, but it takes a little bit of time, because with those, you want to take a calculated risk and you want to make small amounts of money here and there. The thing with a penny stock is, and why it's such a risk, is because it's such a low value. The company can go to zero like that, okay? So the company and the stock can become absolutely worthless in about 5 minutes, and that's the risk that you run with a stock like that. For every penny stock that you have that's a success, where you invest in it and you make some money off it, for every one that you get right, there's 10,000 of those that went to zero, which is why it's such a risky thing. And because, your best case scenario in a penny stock is you make a dollar or two a share. That's great if you can make a dollar or two a share on a penny stock. But because you're making such a small amount on each one, you have to throw a ton of money at it. And the problem with doing that is, of course, because so many go to zero and it's so risky, that nobody would just throw money, unless you have a ton of money to start with, right? Unless you don't mind losing 10 grand because you might make a lot more, unless you have a ton of money to start with that you can just throw at it, nobody's gonna invest that much money in a penny stock because it's such a high risk. The reason why I wanted to touch on penny stocks and the various forms of options trading and whatnot is because those are the terms that I hear thrown around YouTube and the internet, other places and elsewhere the most, when it comes to these get rich quick, overnight success stories and people that I believe are being misled. And I wanted to, again, give everyone a realistic expectation of what investing in those things actually means. And obviously you have to be really careful. With that all out of the way, let's talk about why you need a broker. Now, a brokerage account is what you're going to open when you actually start investing. And a person like myself, I am not a broker, by the way. I've heard that in comments. Some people think that I am. I am not a broker. The reason why you need a broker is because an average person can't just go buy and sell stocks like a gallon of milk. You can't just do that. Now, you're still making the decision, so you're essentially buying and selling it, but you really need a broker to make that trade on your behalf, if that makes sense. So you're gonna need to open up a brokerage account, and we're gonna use today an online broker because that's, for everyone's purposes, that's what we're talking about. And when selecting a brokerage account, there's a lot of different things to keep in mind, and you can look up different ones. Now, these are all names you've heard before, you've probably seen commercials for them. TD Ameritrade, Fidelity, E-Trade, Scottrade, there's all kinds of different ones, and each one has its pros and cons. I, for one, have accounts with TD Ameritrade and with E-Trade. Now, E-Trade is where I do my most aggressive trading, where I essentially day trade. Now, it's not every single day, but it's every couple of days. And the reason why I trade with E-Trade is because they offer a big discount if you trade more than, I think it's 150 times a month. If you make more than 150 trades a month, the trades are $7, well, I think it's $7.99, so $8. Whereas some other firms, it's $10 and stuff like that. And those are called your brokerage fees. So there's a fee charged when you make a trade, when you're dealing with an online broker. So that's what we're talking about. You are going to need to select an online brokerage account. And again, I want this to be a very in-depth explanation, but when it comes to selecting an online broker, number one, there's a lot of great ones out there. Some of the ones that I just mentioned, if you go with some of the big names, you're going to be fine, and they're all pretty well managed. I chose E-Trade, so if you want to just choose E-Trade just because that's what I chose, great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them. I love the way everything's set up, their platform. I think the company is ran very well. So, I set up my account with E-Trade, and I think that they're a great company, and I would recommend it to anyone else. But that being said, there are other good options as well. So once you decide to open up your account with whatever brokerage you choose, now it's just time to select what type of account you want to open. Now, for most younger people, you just want to open up a standard brokerage account for trading. But, this is where you've heard terms like this. You can open up an IRA, a Roth IRA, various forms. There's many different accounts. But for this video and our purposes, to keep it short and pretty streamlined, we'll just say you're going to open up a standard brokerage account. And then, as the years go on and you kind of learn you get a feel for it and you learn what you're doing, you want to open up a different account. You want to open up an IRA, some type of IRA for retirement. retirement, you can certainly do that later on. Now that you have selected your online broker, you've selected what type of account you want to open, a regular brokerage account, and for our purposes today, we're just going to say E-Trade, for example. You've decided you're going to open an account with E-Trade. Once you've done that, it's very simple. To open the account, all you need is the same stuff you're going to use to open up a regular old bank account. You're just going to need your name, address. The only thing that you might not use that often that you're going to need here is your social security number. You're definitely going to need that. But other than that, it's just that simple. It really takes about 5 minutes. Now, the first place to actually invest your money is also, again, kind of going to depend on how much money that you're going to start with. If you're going to start with, say, 20 grand, that makes it a little bit easier for you, because the key to any good investment portfolio is to be diversified. And what does that mean? That just means that you don't put all your eggs in one basket, like the old saying. Don't put too much money into one stock, one location, or whatever. Like we said earlier, it doesn't really matter, even if you're only starting with a few $100. Of course, it will be harder at first because a single share can sell sometimes for over $500 a share. So you might not be able to buy a whole lot at first. You might not be able to be diversified, but the key here is that over time you're going to be putting money into that account every month. Try your best every month, as much as you can save. Put in $500, $1,000, whatever. Then of course over time you can buy more and more. Now, a great way to be diversified and to see some steady returns for the beginner investor is to try out some high quality mutual funds. And a mutual fund is a collection of stocks that can be from any sector. And when I say sector, I mean an area of the economy. So it can be an energy sector, it can be technology sector, etc., etc. Now, like I said, for the beginner investor starting with 10 or 20 grand or whatever, a mutual fund, a couple high quality mutual funds is a great way to get started. It's an awesome base for your portfolio, and you're going to see some nice little returns. Now, again, nothing crazy. We're talking about like 8 to 10% a year, but it's a great way to get started. And then of course, over time, as you get more accustomed to it, then you can start day trading, getting more aggressive, learning how it all works, and all that good stuff down the road. What I will actually do is I will put links in the description to all the funds that I'm currently invested in right now in my own portfolio. That way you can check them out. You don't have to worry about trying to write it down when I say it or whatever. But what you're looking for, are funds that are very well managed, because these are managed by someone else. Now, you're not giving your money away, but you are investing with them, so you are relying on it to be well managed, right? So you want to look for a fund or funds that have a very good track record. Some great ones off the top of my head here. Vanguard Funds, Fidelity Investments, T. Rowe Price, Arbitrage, Harbor International, Cohen and Steers, just to name a few. Obviously, there's a ton of great ones out there. Just definitely do your research, look for ones that have a great track record and really good reviews, and pick which ones work best for you. So that is where I would recommend starting out for the beginner investor, and then as you get more of a feel for it and you get some more capital, which by the way, capital just means money. You're going to hear all kinds of fancy terms when it comes to finance, investing in business and whatnot, but they're all very simple. Asset allocation, just the different places where you have your money. Venture capital, that's just giving money to people to start up a business or whatnot. So all kinds of terms that really don't mean a whole lot. But as you get more money, then you can get a feel for it and you can start investing in some individual stocks and being a little bit more risky. And I will put also my individual stock picks in the description, just like the other funds, and I'll put them in there, some of the ones that I'm gonna invest in when they reach a certain point, and you can try those out as well. Keep in mind, with investing in individual stocks, you're now competing with the traders on Wall Street. Now, they have algorithms that, let's talk about cars, for example. If a car company name that they're invested in is found to be in the same news story as the word recall, even if it's not necessarily about that company, they know right away to sell that stock. So you're now on a very competitive level, but there's ways to play the market and to make money off of them as well. Really, there is, as surprising as that may sound, because the stock market and trading is really about psychology. It's not always about the business financials. It's much more about how other people are trying to play the market. So there's always a way to make money and there's always a way to be successful. It's just a matter of learning the trends. And of course, right as I was about to say, I better finish up the video because my battery is running low, the GoPro died. But I hope you all enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you want me to make more videos like this in the future, I certainly can. Take care. Have a great day.